Hey everyone, Damon here from the StarCraft Garden site, bringing you a quick video about setting up contains in StarCraft 2 as the different races. So yes, generally put, you'll want to set up a contain in order to be able to gain map control, and yeah, set up contains are usually set up either just outside the opponent's main base or their natural expansion. So you'd be setting up the container behind a choke point or a ramp, and yeah, sometimes it can just range from setting up units in a little concave in order to get the best firing position, or yeah, you might be using a combination of units and buildings to set up much more permanent contains. So yeah, so you can't always set up a container on your opponents, of course, but when you're able to, if you can do it early on during the game, then yeah, usually you can deny them map control and yeah, allow yourself to expand a bit more freely. But keep in mind though, eventually the opponents will be able to get through the container either through brute force or by circumventing it, and then either counter-attacking your base or attacking your contain from a different angle where it's more advantageous. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, that normally occurs when the opponent gets access to things like medevacs, teleporting units, Nida Swarm, and yeah, other air transport units as well. So yes, just have a look at how to set up containers as the different races. We'll start off with the Protoss. So first, you can either set up containers using photon cannons near your opponent's main ramp or a choke point, so that either from the main base or the expansion, or alternatively you can actually use sentries. You can use the force field ability to set up continual continual barriers on their ramp leading from their base, and yeah, try to contain the opponents that way. And we'll move on to the Terrans. So this is a bit more of a full-on contain. Early on in the game you can use bunkers loaded with Marines or Marauders, or a combination, to help contain the opponent, or later on during the game you can use a combination of bunkers, siege tanks, and even a couple of SCVs to repair, as well as a couple of missile turrets for detection, as well as providing anti-air supports. So yeah, it's a bit of a full-on contain, but yeah, can certainly get the job done. And last but not least, we've got the Zerg, who can set up contains as well. It's a bit tricky for them to do so, especially early on in the game, unless if they go for a proxy hatchery, because yeah, they need a creep in order to set up their defensive structures. But yeah, if you can either get an overlord to spew creep once you get to lair tech, or yeah, use a quick proxy hatchery to get a quick quick creep, and then yeah, use the queen to lay a creep tumor down. Then yeah, you can get some creep up near your opponent's base, and yeah, they can set up a wall of spine crawlers, possibly supported by a couple of spore crawlers as well for air units, and yeah, might possibly keep a couple of supporting units around as well, and possibly even a queen or two in order to use her transfusion ability on one of the buildings if it happens to be low on health, for example. So yes, in general, yeah, contains will be set up around the choke points or at ramps, and depending on the circumstances and the opponent you're playing against, sometimes it might be best to use additional structures to completely wall off the ramp or the choke points. That usually would be used against the Protoss or the Zerg, which have more melee units. Or rather, have actual melee units, while the Terrans have basically all got ranged units. So there you go. Check out the StarCraft Garden site for more information, and until next time, this has been Damon, signing off.